At any point, if you like to ask a question, please do so. So going to do a very short presentation on our AI, who we are, what we are organizing every year, what art and AI is, and then I'm going to show 3 different types of tools. Image generators, one from Microsoft, being Create, the other is Stable Diffusion Online, and then we're going to show Comic AI for creating comics, and Beethoven, which is an AI tool for generating music. So please enjoy this webinar. Thank you. Now, with AI, we know that machines are constantly learning. Now, learning, we're still far from real AI, at least what we see in the movies, but we are getting there. We should mention here that all our webinars, including the science fair we're going to organize on Sunday, 26th of May, are supported by UNFICYP. And this year we are focusing, starting from our October event, on AI in education. Now, the usual suspects is Cyprus, of course, it's me on the left and Mert on the right. I'm part of the mathesys.org group of teachers, and Mert, which is a super teacher, he is the founder of Masterkids. Our Bicommunal event, we always start in October, so those of you who are with us since the beginning, we always start in mid-October with teacher training. We set the pace for our end-of-year event, and of course, this is from our first Bicommunal. You can see the masks, so it was in 21 where masks were still obligatory everywhere. And here they are building, as an ice-breaking activity, a brush robot. That was amazing. Now, today we're here because we're focusing on art and AI. And what you see here, this is a very beautiful image of a very attractive woman, and this person does not exist. This is AI generated. And we're going to show you how to create that. Of course, AI has brought itself a lot of controversy because in 2 cases that have been recorded, an AI-generated image managed to win competitions. This image you see here had won a very prestigious art competition, and the other artists weren't happy. And in another case, a photographer managed to create an image using AI. He submitted that to a photographics competition, and he won first prize. Of course, he didn't do that deliberately in order to cheat. He did that because he wanted to stress a point that with AI, it will be difficult now and in the near future to differentiate between what's real and what can be generated. But we are not here now to discuss the controversy behind that. We're here to see how we can create art. And this is the controversial piece of art that took the first place in the digital category at the Colorado State Fair, which is amazing. There are many there are many tools for generating images. We got Midjourney, we got DALL-E, we got Stable Diffusion. The Bing Create by Microsoft is based on DALL-E. Also ChatGPT, those of you who have gone and created a paid subscription for ChatGPT version 4, which was around 20 euros per month, offers direct access to the DALL-E so you can create images. And there is also a controversy that we're going to explore a bit later with the Gemini, which is a tool by Google. Now, with these tools, you can really create incredible images. And we're gonna do just that today. That's how we are in the DALL-E 3. And of course, this is DALL-E 2. Now we're in DALL-E 3, which is much, much more powerful. Microsoft Bing.com Create, it's part of the Microsoft suite and the Copilot new services, which are built into Edge, and they are getting built into Windows 11 as well. What we have here is the main environment that we're going to use today, and it's based on DALL-E 3, which is completely free, this environment, but it allows you 15 generations of images every day, and it gets another bunch of 15 generations every day. Now, this is something that was provided by a student, 6th grade primary school student, and it was used by our student, and I would like to thank his mother, Nicolina, for providing us these images. Her son created a very interesting story. This is based on the textbook we have in primary schools in Greece and Greek Cypriot schools. So he got the descriptions of the car from the textbook, and then he used AI to generate images, a bit dark, yeah, but very, very interesting. So this is something you can do with image text you've got in the school, and maybe you can extend it or even change them. But that's another story. We're not focusing today on how to use it in school education. We're focusing now on tools. Now, thank you for the first part. Now we're going to go back, and I'm going to use the tools to demonstrate how we can use actually use these tools to generate images. First of all, I would like to ask you to raise your hand, virtual hand on the bottom of the screen. How many of you have already used tools such as image generators? This is interesting. So a lot of you. That's great. That's great. All right. Now I'm going to start with the Copilot and Bing Create. I would like to apologize, but for some reason I tried to change the language of my Bing web page to English, but I could not do that. So you have to bear with me. Can you see my Bing.com web page? No? Mert?
Yes, we can see it. It's in Greek, but we can see it. That's
all right.
That's
yes. All right. As you can see here, we got 13 available generations for today. So what we can do here, we can type in Greek, in English, in Turkish, in any language we like, a description for generating an image. Now, as the video explained, in order to generate something, it needs to already know the meaning of that. Now, obviously, if we give the instructions in English, 52% of all the content on the internet is English-based. By way of comparison, in Greek, it's only 0.5%. So we can create more precise images when you use the more prominent languages, because that's how they learn. So let's say here we want to create an image of a cat. Now, we don't even need to use the words an image, because obviously here it's gonna create an image. Let's just create a cat or just cat. Now, this is very general. Create. When you use generations here, it uses one every time of the available slots, and it creates usually a series of at least 4 images. Mind you, these are not high quality images, but these are very good when we want to print them in textbooks, when we want to use them in PowerPoint presentations, but these are low resolution, 1000 by 1000. Now, I did a very general, I just wrote a cat. Of course, I can give more precise. A black cat walking on the top of a scraper looking down in the clouds with fairies flying above. Let's see what's going to generate. You can really use your imagination, but mind you, there are some limitations that I'm going to show in a few minutes. So it's generating the AI. While it's doing that, let me explain what will happen when I expend in a single day all my, let's say, energy. I will still be able to create images, but it's going to do that very, very slowly. Okay, now, this is a picture of the cat. This is the first, this is the second, this is the third, this is the fourth. As you can see here, the more detailed the description, the better the image it's going to create. Now, let's try this one out here. Van Gogh style. It's creating it, and it's going to do a Van Gogh style. Wow, that's it. As you can see, you can play with this, and we can create almost anything, almost. When I say almost anything, let's try to see what it's not going to create. Bruce Springsteen playing guitar. Now, I'm asking it to create the image of an actual person. It's not going to do that, right? Now, it's got some limitations, and the reason it's got that because it can actually create something that is very, very, very realistic. So you can understand that if we're trying to create the images of real people, it's very easy to use that in the wrong possible way. Of course, this is a very, let's say, user-friendly and very protected image creator we have here. There are other ways that bypass that. And we have some examples where deepfakes were created using image generators, and it's quite scary. But let's go back to this here. At the same time, it will not create easily images that might contain some nudity. It's got some protection on that. For example, naked man walking on beach. Again, it will not. And if I try to create things that are related to copyrighted material, USS spaceship, USS Enterprise, not to confuse that with the aircraft carrier, flying above Venus. Now, USS Enterprise is very recognizable, probably the most recognizable spaceship in movie history. It's not going to refuse creating that, but it's not going to give me the actual USS Enterprise. Well, it did something. All right, but again, if you look at it, it's not, it's similar, yes, but it's not the same. Not because it cannot do it, but because that would infringe on the copyright of the Starship Enterprise. So we have some limitation, but it's very beautiful, it's very Star Trek-like, but these are types protected. Now, another thing we need to keep in mind is that because every time we ask it to create an image, it creates a different image based on our description. For example, a boy walking in the street holding his school bag, a boy with black hair and white shared walking the street. All right. And let's say we do it anime style. That's it. It's going to generate again 4 images. One of the problems that we've got with the image generation for the time being, though, is that there is no consistency in the images it generates. Now, this is the boy, this is the boy, this is the boy, this is the boy. You could easily say that this is the same boy in 4 different poses, but anime is a very distinctive style. Let's say we create cartoon style. The problem is that there is no consistency. So if you want to use these images to generate, let's say, 20 images of the same 2 or 3 people, because you want to create a comic or a story, you will see that there are many variations and they're not quite the same. They look the same because they use a very similar type of description. But as we start differentiating and getting into the story, every time, now I didn't change the description, I just asked it to create 4 more images. You will see that there is no consistency between the images created. Now, this time there are slight differences, and the more images I create, the variations will change. So eventually, if I want to create a story, a comic book, 5 or 6 pages, where this boy appears in almost every frame, someone will come and say, yeah, but this boy is not the same in every part of the story. So we have consistency issues. This is probably something that might be solved with the next versions, but this is something we have right now. So if you're trying to create a comic book, or if you want to use the same character over and over again, mind you that this is something that you have to make do with. Now, let's say I just want the picture of this boy because I want to copy and paste it somewhere else. A boy with black hair and white shirt walking on a black background, cartoon style. Now we're going to create the same thing, but now with a black background, with a green background, it's easier for us to isolate the image of the boy, that's it. And now the differences between the 4 images are much more prominent now, as you can see. However, I can very easily get the image of this boy and go and use it. Now, I can play with creations that have already been made here by other artists. And of course, I can learn from what they're doing and make changes as well. But this is something that what we suggest is that you play yourself with this. Now, being it as a designer, the image creator, again, that we can make small changes. But we're going to get to that later. Now, this is based on DALL-E 3, another very capable tool, but not so friendly, is Stable Diffusion Online. Again, Stable Diffusion Online, it allows us to create 10 images every day. This is, you can see the Stable Diffusion Online page, right, Mert?
Yes, we can see it. We can see
That's great. That's great. Now, again, we can either check what others have created, or we can give a description and we can create our own. For example, let's say here, a set of Lego people walking on a Lego street, Lego style. So we draw that. Again, this is free. It gives us 10 credits, and this is something we can create. Now, These are the images I created previously for another training where I wanted to show what's possible, what's not. Again, diffusion tries to have some blocks in the images, so it will not allow pornography, but it's more open to getting closer to that as compared with the bin create. This is something you should keep it in mind if you want to use these tools with your students. Now, I've got this description from text, and I can ask it to either create one image or two images. You need an account for that. Now, this is very important because I only have 10 credits that they reset every 24 hours again. And of course, I can buy more credits if I want. But let's say I just want to create one image, set of Lego streets. I don't have to really set the style here, or I can choose one of the available styles. But for the moment, let's just generate one image. That's it. Now, this is an image. It's got a watermark here. We can remove it if we upgrade our account. But the same thing goes for Bing. Bing also has a very subtle watermark on the top left of the image. This is not a problem, actually, because this is not a copyrighted material. So we don't mind usually when we have that, or you can crop it out. So it has created a very nice, a very realistic image of Lego. And of course, we can come here and we can combine, okay, this is Lego, but how about we combine Lego with pixel art? So I just selected pixel art, and let's go for two images. So we're now generating two images. The resolution of these images is 1000 by 1000 pixels, which is, again, adequate for our presentations and schoolwork and school projects. We wait a bit, but again, now this is interesting because it has created images with the description we gave it, but now it's got a pixelated look. So it looks like a Lego game from the 90s. That's it. I can always click on that, download it, I can post it. That's it. But how about Lego Beatles crossing the road pixel art style? One image. It's funny because it might even create actual Beatles, the animal, not the group. So have to be more specific to what I create. Ah, no, it actually created the Beatles. They are so recognizable, it did not change that. But let's say Lego animal Beatles. Yeah, because I had with the capital. So yeah. Let's say what will happen if I just use the small. We differentiate. I don't know. Sometimes we need to experiment ourselves. I can. All right. That's what happens if we are so recognizable. Lego animal Beatles. And this is actually, it can work both ways. If it's so recognizable, it will create it. If it's not recognizable, then the problem is that it might give us another result from what we intended at the beginning. No, it keeps bringing us the Beatles. Yeah, so, all right. Now, this is as far as the image generator. upload a file, drag and drop. Now, what we can do is that we can upload images. So here, going to Google, no, let's say I want to create an actual image for beetle. That's it. So I'm going to save
Alexander, I think
Yes.
the animal beetle is with double E, Beetle. That might be the reason.
Okay, all right. Thank you for that. You're right on that. Even though AI is very smart usually, and it can always see behind the spelling mistakes that we do. So it can usually see behind that. But here, exactly because black beetle is the same. It can see behind the spelling mistakes we make. Oh, these are Shutterstock. I don't know why. Okay, let me try something else. So it's sailing boat, just a sailing boat. All right, this is a picture of a sailing boat. All right, that's it. I'll just try it on my screen. Then I'm going back, upload a file, home yacht. That's it. We can more detail to create it, or we can just select it, give a short description. These are all the images that from my collection. To recreate the images based on the styles we have selected. And I'm running out of credits. Okay. So the best thing we can do here, you see we have now two derivatives actually created from the image that we uploaded. And of course, we can create it to our heart's content. Now, what you can do here, if you want to, let's say, create images with a unique style, then you can get real pictures of something like, say, your school. You can import it here, and you can recreate it as a Lego. I mean, what you can do, I mean, the possibilities here are quite endless, either using images and creating derivatives, or by using descriptions to create something from scratch. So this is something quite amazing. There is a small controversy that I would like here to address. Gemini is created by Google against, it's my, it's in Greek, but I'll explain, sorry for that. What we can do here with Gemini, it's like ChatGPT, but that this is Google's. We can ask it to create images of Lego people walking. It will not create, but it will go and it will find from the internet using the Google search engine. Gemini has been integrated with an image generator. However, because there was a controversy a few days ago, for example, they created the forefathers of the United States, and it used diversity, and some of them were women, some of them were Asians or Africans. And when they tried to generate German soldiers during World War II, it had Nazi uniforms with Asians or Africans. So that caused a controversy, and Google disabled that in Gemini. But hopefully, maybe next month, maybe a couple of months, we'll be able to come here to Gemini and create images. So this is something we're looking forward to. Before I go to Beethoven and to Comic AI, I'd like to show you something that's coming out quite soon. This is Sora AI by the same company that created ChatGPT. What is Sora? Sora is something quite similar, only this time it uses prompts. Like this, a stylish woman walks down Tokyo Street Field. So we will be able in a few months' time to give a description, and AI is gonna create a short video. I mean, what you see here was generated by AI. Obviously, AI uses real images it has in memory from Tokyo, and probably there is a street in Tokyo looking like this. But everything you see here was generated by AI. Only for the time being, we don't have access to this tool. But in a few months, they are expecting to release it. Imagine the possibilities of what we'll be able to do with that. And this is just one of them. Now, the text prompt from that is there are several giant woolly mammoths approaching. And again, this is huge. This was created by AI. With the same ease we created the images before, we'll be able to create small videos. Now, imagine this is going to revolutionize the way we work in our classroom, because we'll be able to show to our students, for example, how the respiratory system works, how blood circulates inside our body, how the moon and earth rotate around the sun. The possibilities for education are endless. And just to show you a few, again, now this is something that's very impressive and was created by Sora. And this is a lighthouse on top of a cliff with the sea, and it's amazing, amazing detail. So this is something we'll be able to work with hopefully in a few months. Now, Sora is not yet here. And now this is being created. And next we go to comicai.ai. With comicai.ai, we use our Google account to log in. And on the top of the page, as you can see here, we got these diamonds. Every day, it gives us 99 diamonds. Now, how does that work? When you're using the actual AI generation, it consumes some of these diamonds. But it's very, very generous, and it's giving us a lot every day. Some of the tools of Comic AI are reserved for paying customers, but for the vast majority of things we do with at school, we are perfectly fine. Now, I have to tell you here some of the disadvantages of this. First of all, it does not generate animal. Not exactly, but it will not generate. So if we want to create, let's say, a story where the actual protagonists are cats and dogs or whatever, it's not going to generate them. Second, it doesn't recognize figures from mythology or fairy tales. So if we ask him to create a story with Pinocchio, let's say, or Santa Claus, it's not going to recognize them. It's going to create some characters named Pinocchio or Santa Claus or whatever, but they won't resemble the ones we know from the fairy tales. How we create that? We use a title, my first comic, who is the creator. I apologize for the spelling mistakes. Then we choose a style. Based on the style, it's going to create the actual characters. Next, And here, this is the interesting part. I can either create the story, and based on the story, it's going to create the characters itself, or I can use the AI generation to create the story. And of course, I can upload a file for the story. But let's go to AI generation. Two brothers, a boy and a girl, who lost their dog. Generate. So now AI is going to generate a story. Of course, you're going to fill the details of the story, but based on the description here, it is going to create the characters as well. On the left part, we see the story generation, the character generation, the panels of the story, and the editor. So here is the story, and of course, we can go and we can make changes to it. Now, once upon a time in the small town of Willowbrook lived two siblings named Emma and James. They were a mischievous pair. So we got here this story, including the end. Now, this is nice because the story, we can make changes, of course, to it, or I can regenerate one. But for the time being, let's say that we are very, very excited. So we move next, and we go to the character creation. Based on the story, it's going to create the characters, and of course, we can make any changes to the characters ourselves. So we got their parents, but you see, this is not the parents. Max, Emma, Ben, James, Lucy, but no dog here. If we're not very satisfied with this, we can change or we can regenerate the image. So it's going to create that character again. One adult male teacher named their parents, named George. Fair skin, color, short hair, kind of brown, regenerate. So I changed the description, and it's going to generate again George. So this is George. Let's see, I want to create a new character. That's it. Can make him doggy, a small, brown, hairy dog. Now, this type of comic book, this style, it's more animal friendly. The other styles, they will not. Of course, this tool is constantly improving. Based on the style you select, it will either create or won't create animals. Still, Comic AI has some issues creating animals or objects. Now, we have created the basic characters, and if we're happy with them, of course, we can always come back and make changes. So the next step is to go to the panels. Now, for the panels, in each panel, it creates a set of panels itself. For each panel, we can have a maximum of 2 characters, no more than 2 characters. Of course, we can make some changes to the settings, the camera angle, the weather, rainy weather, view from top. Let's see, regenerate. So I'm regenerating, I made changes to that scene and I'm regenerating it. All right. As you can see, it's got a lot of flexibility and it's very generous because it only uses 3 out of how many I have here, and it starts with 1400, and it gives us 99 every day. If I'm satisfied with that, then that's fine. Otherwise, I can do a batch generation. It's going to create another 5, or I can go to the new panel and I can select the characters I want. These are 2, image description, our dog runs away and hides under a tree. Now, mind you, it's not always going to create what we want to create. In English, it has much better results than in Greek or in Turkish. For the same reason I mentioned earlier, 52% of all data it uses are in English, so it's much better trained. Our dog runs away and hides under a tree. Of course, it didn't do that. And even though I selected the teacher, which is much younger, it used another character. So the results on a lot of cases are quite unpredictable. So I just left the dog on its own here, and I'm going to regenerate it. So it takes some practice before you reach the optimal result you want. And my suggestion, again, hides under a tree. It's a bit okay. If you take a look at this doggy, it's not quite the same as the doggy in a previous image. For the reason I explained earlier, because it generates a different image every time. Once I'm very satisfied with the panels, I can make changes to the actual poses. On top, I can I can change the composition of the characters, and I can even change the poses. Now, some of these are pro, but it's very, very generous in what it offers. For example, I want them to happily hold hands and walk in the forest, which is going to do just that. Now, and I can change the poses as much as I want until you create the correct. We can make style reference, we can make changes and the depth and image variation, but this is something you can play with it. Now, we can even make changes to the background if we want. Enter a description, a waterfall with a small beaver running in a forest. Regenerate. Okay. The result is not always optimal. Again, it requires a bit of changes. Face, sad looking face, regenerate. All right, now she is sad now. The final thing I want to mention here is this one, dialogue modification. Here we can add dialogue. All right, save. So we create a dialogue. Now, the dialogue, we're going to use it in the next part. And I want here to mention something. First of all, we can change the position of the panels and we can even delete them. When we work on the computer, it's very easy to make changes at any point. On the tablet, for some reason, when we go to the next step, which is the actual editor, it does not currently allow us to enter text to the characters. So if you're working on tablets, you will find it much better to add your dialogues here, and of course, move back and forth all the time. We can create dialogue here on the tablets, but when we come here, it will not allow us, and I'll show you what I mean now. We can either use these 6 panels, or how many we have created, with ready-made grids. For example, I've got the 6th grid here, 6th grid here. Or I can just use the one-click layout, where I can select the tabs I need and just confirm. So it's going to create it on its own. Mind you, here we have cut the heads off, but I can just double click here and move it a bit down. It's not perfect with cutting here, but that's okay. If you remember earlier, for this panel, I added a piece of dialogue, so it automatically brings it here. Of course, I can click on it and I can delete it. Now, on the side here, I can bring the speech bubbles, or the thought bubbles, or the introductory boxes. On the computer, it's very easy. I just double click here and I create my text, and I can use some of the available fonts, change the color and everything. So we can create the page here entirely, and here, as you can see, is the dialogue I created in the previous part. And of course, I got some other signs as well. For example, exclamation mark, the question mark, some other effects I can use to set the emotion here. I can always resize them, remove them, and rotate them. So we got the basic expressions we got in a comics, for example. So someone is sleeping, we use this one. Once I'm happy with the page I created, I can always download it. It's going to be downloaded as an image file on my computer. I can import it anywhere I want on my wherever I want to do that. Now, confirm. Now, this is my comic book, and this is something that I would suggest that you play with it. Of course, we can also create a multi-page comic book. On the top, page 1, and I added a page 2, and a page 3, and a page 4. So this is something that can be created into a very complex story. It's very easy to create that, but that's entirely on how you want to do it. Those of you who participate in our science fair event, you can use comic if you want to tell the story of your project. And this is something that we would like to see in this year's event. So that's up to you, of course. So that's it. This is a very easy tool. We can generate images based on specific styles, and we can create the characters. It's not very good at generating animals. If you go to cyberpunk style, for example, it will not. It's improving, of course. Every few months we see great improvements, and very easy to create short books. But again, the consistency of the characters is something that you should keep in mind. Even in this short page, it's quite evident that these characters are not really the same with these characters, or with these characters, or with these characters. So even in a short story, somebody could very easily say that, yeah, but we got the same guy supposedly, but the girl is different in every part. Okay, that's something we have to make do. Now, for the final tool I'd like to show you today, what we did is we created the images. Now then we created an entire comic book. Now, how about we create some music? Beethoven AI is very nice, very easy to use tool, and there are, of course, many similar tools where we can create music. Just sign in using one of my Google accounts if you want, or you can create your own account. That's it. And again, we can come here and we can generate a song. Of course, no lyrics here, just the music, just the sound. Rock ballad, and I can start with a genre if you want. Duration, tempo. Next, these are genres. Rock, apply. What emotion? This is sad, calm, motivational, happy, triumphant, angry. Sit down. Okay, joyful. Apply. It's going to create 4 variations of the sound we want. So it composes a track. This is very important if we want to have music, especially when we're uploading audio on YouTube. You will have noticed that if it contains music or audio that is copyrighted, YouTube will either not download it or it might bring it down. And of course, when we're distributing our own presentations or video files, if we use images that are, audio that is copyrighted, legally, we cannot distribute our files. But with this, I mean, these are copyright free because we create one, variation 2, and of course we got here the line, and we can make some slight changes to it. And we can go to the instruments. So it goes chords, melody, bass, percussion, and I can say, okay, I only want to use these 3 instruments. I apply, and now I can add instruments and play with it. Can change the tempo, can even change the genre. And I can even make selections to part of the song and recompose only this part. Sorry, yeah, I remove the bass, recompose. All right. Yeah. The audio generators are not quite free, and they've got a lot of restrictions. So even though I can create audio files, if I want to download the track, I need to purchase minutes, and there are many plans. Alternatively, you could use audio recorders that are software running on your computer that can record any type of sound from your computer, and of course you can play while recording it. So this is an alternative way of downloading your audio without having to pay. These are alternatively, you can choose to buy a plan. That's up to you. But this is a very, very interesting tool, since you can very easily create copyrighted free audio. And of course, you can use other tools as well, like Audacity, which is a free audio editor, to play with the audio and make changes and edits to it. If you want, you can even add a video from your computer or download a video from YouTube or upload one from your mobile phone and add audio and add the music to it. There are many similar tools out there that use AI, and everything has its plus or minus. So this is something that you will have to play with it. This is obviously not the only one, but Beethoven is one of the most accessible and user-friendly tools I've tried, especially when younger students come to mind. Now, we created images using Bicommunal Create, then we saw Diffusion Web, then we saw Sora, which is coming. We created a small comic using Comic AI, and then audio using Beethoven. Was an introduction to the main tools, and I would like to spend the rest of the time of this webinar for discussion if you want. Do you have any questions regarding these tools and their use? Okay, let me show you again something. If you can see my website, this is mathesis.org website. You can download an introduction to AI book, which is currently in English and in Greek, and hopefully we'll have it translated to Turkish as well, where I introduce image creation and the Beethoven application in more detail. This is something you can download for free, and you can see some more of their basic functions and how to use them. And that's it, actually. These are very easy to use tools. These are very, very straightforward tools you can use to create your own art. There are other tools that specifically create 3D objects. So you can you can have 3D objects that you can use in games, or you can use with 3D printers, or yeah. Can you suggest any AI that does room changes? I use some, but do you have any? Not really, no. I haven't. I know that such tools exist, but unfortunately, no. But yeah, we could, because it sounds very interesting, we could research into that and maybe come back. So if you can send us, if you can send me an email, let's say sometime next week, I'll see what I can find on that. Thank you. Okay. Do you have any questions regarding these tools, or something you would like us to clarify? Yeah, it's one of a very common tool is Blender with AI, and they're using Stable Diffusion with AI, with Blender, in order to create some very good results. And almost in every tool, including Canva, they're trying to integrate AI into it, so you can create 3D objects. Even Tinkercad, which is used for creating 3D models, and it's optimized for kids. They're starting to integrate AI. So yeah, this is something we expect to increase in the near future. Thank you for sharing that. Now, if you're looking for something to create really very, very realistic graphics, Midjourney is, to me at least, probably the best tool of all. But if you're looking for something that's easily accessible, then you can use Bing Create. All right. Okay. If we don't have anything else, of course, you can always email us. Yes, that's exactly the Create. There's a question here, Maria. All right. I would like to thank you for joining us here. Have a good night. And we're planning on our next webinar in March. We haven't decided on the date yet, probably sometime end of March. Thank you for being here. Please send us email for anything you need. And of course, we'll like to remind you that on May the 26th, we got our science fair. We got 20 teams, primary and kindergarten from Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot schools. This is the 4th year in a row. And even though most of you are not officially participating, we are more than welcome to drop by. Thank you. Have a good night and see you again soon. I'm stopping the recording.
Thank you.
And we'll upload it sometime either tonight or tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Night. Bye-bye.